Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Books, Girls, and Purrs. My name's Leslie, and it's time for the mid-year freak out tag. I've done this like once before, and I didn't think I was going to do this tag, but Nkechi from Library of Wonder recently did theirs, and I don't know, something about it made me think that this might actually be fun. Also, from watching their version of the tag, I learned that the original tag was created by Earl Grey Books. So I'm going to follow suit and actually include their original tag as well because I had no idea who originally created the tag. So we're going to go ahead and jump into it. We're going to start off with the best books. All right, the best book I've read this year is Human Acts by Han Kang. And I'm just going to read you the synopsis that I have here. Amid a violent student uprising in South Korea, a young boy named Dong Ho is shockingly killed. The story of this tragic episode unfolds in a sequence of interconnected chapters as the victims and the bereaved encounter suppression, denial, and the echoing agony of the massacre. From Dong Ho's best friend, who meets his own fateful end, to an editor struggling against censorship, to a prison and a factory worker, each suffering from traumatic memories, and to Dong Ho's own grief stricken mother, and through their collective heartbreak and acts of hope, is a tale of a brutalized people in search of a voice. And that was a book, I mean, that definitely wrecked me. It was just a rough read. It's still worth picking up. The way that the author writes is in such an effective way because yes, it is surrounding one character, but you're experiencing them through different characters per chapter. And that's also something that I really liked about Calling for a Blanket Dance that does pretty much the same technique. And so I just I appreciate anytime that's done because we really see how much love and impact one person could have on so many people. But not just that, but how these horrific acts continue to traumatize and impact others negatively. All right, so the best sequel I've read this year is, and I wasn't really sure, sequel just usually means like the second book, but I chose a Rebel Blue Ranch romance series altogether. So I think it was last year, Sam talked me into reading the first book. We talked about it, we reviewed it. I really liked it. I just had quite a few critiques for that first book, but I still, again, I loved it. And every single book I read after from the series just got better and better. And I love every single character. It surrounds this family, and how each character finds love, and it just the romances that I love the most are when family are included in the story. And so I just found myself getting so attached to those characters and seeing how naturally not just the story arcs are created, but also the conflicts that each character comes across does not feel contrived. It feels very true to life. So I really love that one. The worst sequel I've read this year. All right. So I read a smutty book at some point this year. My friend Lori, I think it was last year, early last year, we read Give Me More by Sarah Kate, which is like, I swear to you, the smuttiest book I ever read. But the writing was really good, shockingly good. Like the character story was good. So I tried listening to this one, and this was not it. This was, I can't believe I read another smutty book. Okay, so basically there's this woman, this main character. What the heck is her name? Oh no, this is not it. This is not the right synopsis, by the way. So we'll just ignore that. I'll just tell you. I can't believe I did that. All right, so I'm trying to think about how to explain that book. So there's a woman. It's part of the Salacious Player Club's series. So there's like maybe 5 owners of a club, like a sex club or whatever, and it's about each one of their romances, and they're all like these taboo relationships. So it comes to the main character in Madame. Um, she's actually a single mother. This is something that no one knows about her, and I guess through all the other books, you don't really get a sense of her. She's kind of like standoffish, and now we find out why in the book. I think she just thinks that she has to be like a strong person and has a hard time letting down her guard. She's also like a dominatrix. That's how she makes her money. And one of her clients, she ends up like crossing the line and falling in love with. And then also, because of that, she cuts them off. It was just like too vulnerable for her. She ends up running into her ex while she's like I'm about to see a movie with her son, and her ex is with his current girlfriend, right? Well, the current girlfriend gets in touch with her because she wants to know like how to be domineering, because that's something that her boyfriend likes and she just doesn't know how to do that. And so she finds herself giving this person lessons, but she also starts to have feelings for this person too. So it just like really complicates things. I didn't, I can't, I want to say, there's like a certain like inner conflict the character has to overcome, but the way that the writer decides to solve it is like in a sexual way, and that didn't make any sense to me. By the time I got to that point in the book, I'm like, this makes no sense. I know it's a smut book, so the bar should be low, but Giving More was like so shockingly good story wise that I just expected more. So there's that. And the worst book I read this year. This synopsis, unfortunately, I had it on the other book by accident over here. So the worst book is this what am I oh, the worst sequel. Okay, yeah. Okay, the worst book I read this year. Um you may have, let me take this down for a second. You may have seen that I have a whole chat with Sam about this book because we picked this. We picked 2 books thinking like, okay, finally, we feel like a little bit of a slump. None of the books we've read so far for our Lust and Lawless segment, where we read one romance, one murder mystery, have really like hit us. Like none of them have been bad, but we thought, okay, we'll pick books that have like a higher star rating. We'll try that, even though I don't really rate by stars, but I was just going to try it. We didn't like either one of the books that we chose. But the errors in this one were like so egregious in terms of storytelling. I didn't like the main character. Um, they're basically just scheming for money, the way I see it, and they also use like how do I say this? They basically like femini what do you call it? Weaponized feminism. It was just it's bad. It's bad all around. So much stuff didn't make any sense. And by the end, I was upset. So if you're interested in watching me and Sam just be completely upset, it's one of the live shows. So you can go over onto the live tab. All right. So new release. I haven't read yet. I have it on my shelf, ready to go, and I'm reading it in the next 2 months. Is Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. It's basically like an American Indian revenge story, and this author is just like known so well for his for his horror. One of my cats is meowing again. I'm not getting it. We'll see how this goes. Most anticipated release in the second half of the year is going to be Blood Moon. I came across this author on the Instagram feed. This is like their debut novel, and the pitch from the author was that if we were upset about what happened to Bonnie Bennett on The Vampire Diaries, and then we're gonna want to read this because that was one of the influences that really prompted Brittany S. Lewis to write this book. And so it says, legends say long ago werewolves had traveled to Mira's small hometown to protect humans from vampires. But that's a fairy tale Mira had stopped believing in years ago. She stopped believing in a lot of things after her mom left when she was 13. And now, starting her freshman year of college, Mira just wants everything to be normal. And everything is, except for Julian, a mysterious boy with golden eyes and a coldness directed at Mira for reasons she can't understand and he won't explain. And so, honestly, I don't even really need to know what the book is about. The author just grabbed me with a pitch about, hey, if you feel like you want justice for Bonnie Bennett's character, read that book. It is going to have like a special edition coming out initially when it comes out with these like beautiful sprayed edges, and I really want to get that cover. So the biggest surprise for me this year is Bitter Root. I wasn't planning on picking this up, but I came across it, and I like not just the cover, but the book in its entirety, as far as like how the illustrations are handled. There's also this like saturation of color. Some comics, when you get them, maybe just the outside. I mean, I was saying the cover will be in color coded, but not necessarily in the inside. But the quality, like from beginning to end, is just like impeccable. And so it says, once known as the greatest monster hunters of all time, the Sangre family specializes in curing the soul of those infected by hate. But those days are fading. A terrible tragedy has claimed most of the family, leaving the surviving cousins split between curing monsters and killing them. Now, with a new breed of monster loose on the streets of Harlem, the Sangre family must come together or watch the human race fall to untold evil. And I just wanted to add here, let's see, did I put it in the right order or is it not here? Oh, it got kind of mixed up. So here's the deal. Ashley from My Sweet Perspective shared like another account that does like entertainment news. And it was announced that Blood on the Bitter Root, sorry, I'm mixing up books. Bitter Root is going to be adapted by Regina King. And so they're set to direct. And I'm so excited. I look forward to how they put it together, how they're really going to translate this. It's going to be badass. That's all I know. It's going to be incredible. So that was like exciting news that I'm glad that I found out. So thanks to Ashley. There she goes. The next one is disappointing read while Ginger meows outside. Biggest disappointment. Oh yeah. Creation Lake by Rachel Kushner. So this book is kind of sold as like a spy novel noir type thing. And also it involves like an eco-terrorist. So that was just, it felt like the kind of book that was going to be up my alley. But in reading it, it was just the pacing didn't have me engaged. I just wanted a level of tension that I wasn't really sensing from the book. But it's done well, so it just missed the mark for me. So it was disappointing because just by the description alone, it sounds like the kind of book that's like right up my alley, and it didn't work for me. Oh yeah, my favorite new author is S.D. Tillery. I was so fortunate this year to be able to interview them. That's just such an honor to interview an author. And I had never read their work before, so DL Tillery sent me this book with some short stories as well. And this actual version has um, some additional books kind of like combined together. And I really, really enjoyed how the author decided to have their own spin on supernatural entities in a way that I hadn't seen, and it just felt really refreshing. And just the description of action was not what I've read in books before. So D.L. Tillery is an independent author, and so to know that she's just hustling, trying to make those sales with a book that's just so good, considering that there are plenty of other books that get more shine that are not as good, is just, it's wild to me. So she's my new favorite author, and I look forward to anything that she writes going forward. Also, newest fictional. Okay, so this is the change that Nkechi from Library of Wonder made. I think before it was newest fictional crush, but they changed it to newest fictional kinship, which I think really opens up a conversation about like characters you admire or that you want to befriend. And I really like that. So I'm gonna not choose crush this time. I'm gonna use kinship because I didn't find any characters this year so far to really garner me having a crush on them. So in The Green Hills of Home, written by Emma Bennett, that I read for the Cookie Mayhem marathon, there's a character named Gwen Jones who lives in a beautiful rolling hills of the Welsh countryside in a sweet little farmhouse that's been in the family for generations. She dreams of becoming a famous writer, but that sort of thing never happens to ordinary country girls. Then Gwen lands a deal with a prestigious London publisher. Her new editor, John, comes to stay to work on her book. He is aloof and pompous and thinks he knows everything, but he certainly is handsome. And so that was just a really adorable read. Um, Emma Bennett has a way of writing where like a character will really rub me the wrong way, but like in a good way, like a very intentionally written way. And then that character has to earn the reader's like affection. She just writes that very well, and she also has a way of writing um, where even though if there's conflict or something, we could actually see through like both what both are thinking, even if they like don't understand each other at times. And I just find that like really difficult to do. And so she just does that like really successfully. Oh, new favorite character. Okay, so going back to Bitter Root, the standout character, so much so that I ended up like having a little conversation about this character, is Berg Sangari. He reminded me so much of what's his name, Agent or Detective Savoy from the comic series Chew, and I really missed a character that's written in that same vein. And so I'm really into like the way that the the character writes was like all these like really huge words. Sorry. There's just like a particular diction and linguistic way that they speak than all the other characters, and it really just stood out to me, and I just really enjoyed them. So yeah, that's like my new favorite character. All right. A book that moved me emotionally is Zarna Garg, This American Woman, a One in a Billion memoir. Um, Zarna grew up in India and was did have a situation with arranged marriage, which she did not want. Um, and so she thought naively at a very young age, she thought, oh yeah, I'll house hop to my friend's place while I'm going to school. I'll figure it out, but I don't want to be engaged with this arranged marriage, and eventually gives in. And I mean, she was very much close to being in an arranged marriage she didn't really want to be in. And eventually she runs away and finds herself in America. and the story goes on from there. Now, if you're not familiar with Sarna, she is a stand-up comedian and she's hilarious. I think she may have blown up on TikTok. I'm just not on TikTok, so I wouldn't know any better. Um, but I do see her like repost on Instagram. She's just so funny. And it's really become a successful business, but also a successful family business. So you really get to go on a journey with what she was trying to accomplish academically, her drive to find a husband in America, um, and also learning about her children. And what's really beautiful and had me teary eyed was even when the book is should be done, each one of her family members writes basically like an essay. I listened to the audiobook. It's really worth listening to the audio. She really just blew me away. I love her to pieces, so it's worth checking out. Books that made me happy. I accidentally hooked up with a vampire. This was so dang silly, um, and a little bit ridiculous, almost too ridiculous. Other than the fact that I really needed the laughs. This is the main character is Whitney Harris. She loses her dream job. She has a cat that I love the cat as their the cat has a whole arc in the book too, which is wild. But I love the main character. I love their friends. There's just such a sense of like friendship and camaraderie and people like sticking together. And she again accidentally hooks up with the vampire, like the story until like tells you right off the bat. And then from there, she ends up on this whole like adventure. But it's heavy on the comedy. And if you're looking for something to just make you laugh in these wild times, I'd say read that book. But also suspend your disbelief, but you already know that because of vampires, but it just gets so wild. I'll just say that. All right, a favorite video I made. So Ginger Bibliophile created an original tag called Belly Dancing and Books tag. That tag was so dang fun. Kat just really took me out of my comfort zone. I she tagged me, so I was kind of not sure when I was going to do this, but the fact that I did, it was just so much fun, and I really cracked a smile. And I haven't been smiling a lot lately, so I love you to pieces, Kat. Worth it. I'm glad I did that. Book to film. Okay, so The Reader. I read this. What was this a part of? Not. I think this is. Oh yeah, this is part of my readathon. My interview with the Vampire Inspired Readathon, where I was exploring the character of Madeline. So I read The Reader for a prompt that has to do with, I think, like the fact that she engages in taboo relationships, right? So The Reader was just a perfect fit because in the AMC adaptation, the character like had a fling with a schmatzy shoulder. You'll know what that rounds up with. And so that really puts a mark on her in society. So in The Reader, a young boy, too young, like 15 or so, engages in a relationship with a woman that's like in her 30s. But he lies to her about his age, which I don't, that's not an excuse because I feel like he would look too young. I couldn't imagine looking at a teenager and being like, let's do this. That's crazy. So time passes. So it's basically pre-Holocaust and post-Holocaust. And he is a lawyer, and as he's in school to be a lawyer, and as he's observing trials for educational purposes, he realizes that his ex-lover is on trial. And what does he think about this? What does he feel about this? How did this person impact his life that really creates ripple effects to the very end of the book? And it's really leaving so many questions for the reader to us, the readers, to explore. It was just an incredible book, like one of the best books I've read this year, actually. And a buddy read it with Bree from Bree Cherie Reads, and I'm glad I did. I was a bit nervous because there's some like salacious parts in this book, but it's all in service of the story. So it's worth a reading. It's so beautifully written. All right, the most beautiful book I've bought. Couldn't make up my mind, but I just picked up Dreams in the Time of a War and In the House of the Interpreter by Gugiwa Thiong'o. I picked it up from a used bookstore recently. The author just passed on May 28th, and he was also an activist. And although he died of like health issues. He was an elderly man. I'm just thankful that he survived, because so many activist authors of his generation did not live long. And so for Dreams of the Time of War, it says born in 1938 in rural Kenya, the author came of age in the shadows of World War II amidst the terrible bloodshed in the war between the Mau Mau and the British. The son of a man whose 4 wives bore him more than a score of children, young Gugi displayed what was then considered a bizarre thirst for learning, yet it was unimaginable that he would grow up to become a world-renowned novelist, playwright, and critic. And In the House of the Interpreter, it's written renowned novelist, poet, playwright, and literary critic, was a student at a prestigious British running boarding school near Nairobi when the tumultuous Mau Mau uprising for independence and Kenya's sovereign gripped his country. While he enjoyed scouting trips and chess tournaments, his family's home was raided to the ground, and his brother, a member of the insurgency, was captured by the British and taken to a concentration camp. But Gugi could not escape history and eventually found himself jailed after a run-in with the forces of colonialism. And so much of his work is kind of deconstructing colonialism. And at some point, he decided to stop writing books in English as the first publication, but rather his original mother tongue. And from there, he would translate his work into English. So he would translate his own work. But his whole idea was that's part of the decolonization process was what's the point of him writing in English? Because then he's not really writing for his own people, basically. So he's also considering his audience. And so he's just amazing. And if you're not aware of him, go check him out. I don't know if you hear that on some fireworks. And lastly, my TBR for the rest of the year. I have a TBR video, so I just launched 7 books on Claudia Delancourt de Pointilloc's bookshelf, and that's a part of my interview with a vampire-inspired readathon. I'm grabbing the books right now as I'm saying this, and so those books that I have, I'm obligated to read, as well as the next set of books I have for Daniel Malloy. I have 6 books for Daniel Malloy, but the truth is that might change because some of his books are like bricks. They are tomes, and me and tomes don't really get along. So we'll see. But yes, so I'll run through this quickly. The Buffalo Hunter, which I already mentioned. Sipping Dom Perignon through a straw. I still don't know how to say that. Poor Things. The Mass Rock. Where is it? Rand by Chuck Palahniuk. Devil Finds the Work by James Baldwin. And A Raisin in the Sun. And so, yes, Daniel has, I think, 6 books, 5 books. I might cut it down even more. I'm telling you, the books that I have for him are more like journalistic pieces, and they're just really big. It's a lot. So So that's like the rest of my year TBR. All the other books I'm reading, I don't really have set in stone. Sam and I are still going to have our Lust and Lawless series, which I only do on a quarterly basis for my own sanity. So Sam's in charge of picking the romances that we read. I'm in charge of the murder mysteries, or yeah, murder mysteries that we read. Um, and for Lust and Lawless, both the books that we choose must have a culinary element in it. Um, we haven't quite hit our like stride or being or wowed by any of the books we've read, but I am enjoying it. It's really nice to get together and like discuss a book whether we like it or not. It just feels very cathartic. Um, and I'm doing some buddy reads also throughout the year and hopping on to some other channels. For instance, for also another set of TBR. So Ginger, what am I saying? Cat from Ginger Bibliophile, Elaine from Cobalt Dragon, and I'm missing two other gentlemen. I'm so sorry. It's like late at night when I'm recording this. We're all buddy reading the Vampire Chronicles. So I need to, in like the next couple of months, I need to finish Queen of the Damned and Tale of the Body Thief. I don't know how to do that because I have so many books that I need to be reading right now. But I'm going to make it happen because I had such a fun time hopping onto Elaine's channel. Elaine is just a hoot. She has a gift of gab in terms of like the realms of books, because I just feel so comfortable in her channel in a way that sometimes can be difficult for me. And I feel like a lot of pressure, but I never feel pressure on her channel. So anyways, I just went off on a little tangent, but yeah, those are all the books I'm juggling for TBR. If you've watched this entire thing, thank you. It's the day before 4th of July, so it's getting crazy outside. And so I knew I was going to be up anyways and thought this would be like the perfect time to record this. So with that said, thank you so much. If you're new here, I really appreciate your support. Thank you for hopping on this channel. I don't know if you'll find this remotely entertaining, but thank you. And thank you for everyone that like returns and supports me, considering that sometimes I feel like I'm just talking to abyss. I love you to pieces, and I appreciate you and everything that you bring to the conversation. And with that said, life is chaos. It's definitely chaos right now. So be kind to others, be kind to yourself, and just read more books. Bye, everyone.